Hi, welcome to our sew along to make a Christmas cracker. So you need a fat quarter of your outer fabric and a fat quarter of lining fabric, and that will make 2 crackers. We tie it up with ribbon or rickrack, whatever pretty ribbon you can find. I've also got some jingle bells and some iron-on crystals that you can embellish the cracker with. So you need a toilet roll tube or a kitchen roll tube, and what you need to do is measure it. So we're going to measure the length of it, and that's 4 inches. Okay, so you need to note that down, and then you add on 8.5 inches. So I would be cutting a piece of fabric which is 12.5 inches wide. You then need to measure the circumference of your tube. Mine measures 5 3/4. So with that you add on 1 1/4 inches. So that will make that 7. So I need to cut my outer fabric 12.5 by 7. And I've done 2 of those out of my fat quarter. If you want a little cuff at the edge with showing your lining fabric, you need to cut 13.5. So you add on 1 inch to your length. So the lining will be 7 by 13.5. So that's the fabric. You also need a piece of wadding. I'm using a lightweight polyester, which quilts up quite nicely, but it's not too thick. And that's going to be the same width as your tube, so the 4 inches, and then 7 inches. And that's going to lie in the centre of your fabric. You then need 2 pieces of medium iron-on interfacing. This is 2.5 inches wide by 7 again, and that's going to go on each end, and that just gives your cuff a little bit of stability. What you also need to do is to mark on your quilting lines. I have just gone for a horizontal quilting line, but you can do free machining, do whatever you like. It just keeps the wadding with the fabric, and also just a little bit more interest. So I'm going to go across, just marking with a white sew line pencil, and I'm going to do them about 1.5 inches wide. I'm going to do it across all of the fabric, not just where the wadding is going to be. Just keep going until you've marked all of the fabric. So that is my fabric marked up. I'm going to spray with a little bit of 505 just to put my wadding on. Hello, this is Tilly. She's not helping. And then I shall iron on my interfacing on either end. And then you just need to quilt on your lines. And that's the outer piece of the cracker finished. Okay, so your outer has now been quilted. So you're going to take your lining fabric and you're going to put it right sides together. Now if you're not doing a cuff, it'll fit. If you're doing a cuff, you'll have the inch left over on one side. So all you're going to do is, with a 1/4 inch seam, is sew along the short edge, sew the lining to the outer fabric. And then what you're going to do is just press that seam open, which you can either just finger press it or iron it. And then you're going to match up the other short end and do exactly the same, 1/4 inch seam. So now you've got a tube. I'll just press that seam open. Okay, so now we have to fold this. I'm going to fold it inside itself. So with right sides together, you're going to start with the seam and match that together. So and it's easy to do both the seam sides to begin with. So just fold it right sides together and match up the seam. And give it a tug. So you've got a tube like that. So you've got your raw edges both together, and then there'll be a folded edge. And what you're going to do is you're going to sew all the way around and leave a hole in the lining for turning. So 3 inches is quite a good. So I'm going to put a start pin and an end pin. Like that. So I'm going to start and sew all the way around and then stop. It's easier if you take off your yarn. So again, stitch a 1/4 inch all the way round. And just keep checking that your raw edges are all together. And just reinforce your stitches at the end. Okay, so you've sewn all the way around, you've got a nice gap for turning, so we're now going to turn it inside out. So gently does it, and you're just going to turn it, gently pushing it all in and then pulling it through the lining. It's a bit fiddly, but just take your time. And what will happen as you pull out the lining, as you pull out the outer fabric from the lining will then go back into the outer fabric. So just keep pulling. And as you get near the end, you just have to even up the little cuff either end of your cracker. It should be about 1/4 of an inch showing. So if you've got too much one end, you just pull it through until you're happy that it's equal either end. Like so. So now you can insert your toilet roll. And just push it down so that it's in line with your wadding. And then you're going to tie your ribbons either end of the cracker. Now, I've used iron-on crystals to embellish my crackers with, and simply take the crystal and pop it. I'm going to put it in the middle of a snowflake. Like, you probably can't see this. And I've got a small bit of Teflon. I just lay it on the top. Try not to move the crystal, and then I use a clover iron and just touch the tip of it for about 8 seconds. If you haven't got a clover iron or a small iron, just use the tip of your iron, but just be really careful you don't burn your fingers. You have to use the Teflon because otherwise you'll just scorch your fabric. So once you've done, just give it a test, move it, and if it's still not stuck, you can just iron again. And you can, I tend to just embellish the actual toilet roll, but you can do the ends as well. You can do as much or as little as you like, and it's entirely up to you. So you take your ribbon, and it's quite nice to have two. And I just tie it in a bow. And then I like to thread a bell on. This is optional. On the thinner ribbon, obviously. It's easier if you just cut a diagonal so you've got a point to get it through the little hanger on the bell. And then just tie that one more. So you've got the bell like that. Then just repeat the other end. So before you tie the other end, you can pop your gift, joke, hat, whatever you like, into the cracker, and then tie up the other side. And then you've got a lovely reusable cracker each from year to year. They also make quite nice Christmas present wrappings if your gift will fit in. And that is your Christmas cracker. Thank you for joining us on our Christmas cracker sew along. We hope you've enjoyed making them. All the details of the pattern are on our website. So if you want all the details for the measuring of your tubes, then just go there and have a look. Please send us your pictures of the ones you've made, either on our Facebook or email them to us, because it's lovely to see what you make. Okay, thanks for joining us, and see you next time.